curling might look simple at the Winter Olympics, just athletes sliding heavy stones across a sheet of ice. But each of those stones costs more than $600, and a full set of 16 comes to nearly $10,000. Since 2006, every Olympic curling stone has been made by a small family company in Scotland called Kays of Scotland. They've been crafting curling stones since 1851, and the secret to their stones lies on a small, uninhabited island called Elsa Craig. Elsa Craig rises out of the Firth of Clyde, a dramatic volcanic island with no people, no roads, no power, and no running water. What it does have is something no other place in the world can offer: rare granite that is perfectly suited for curling stones. Kays of Scotland has exclusive rights to harvest stone from the island until 2050, making it the only source of Olympic curling stones in the world. The granite here comes in two types. The first is common green granite, which forms the bulk of the stone and gives it strength. But the real secret is the second variety, blue hone granite. Blue hone is extremely dense, so tightly packed that water cannot seep inside. That's important because if water got in, it could freeze, expand, and crack the stone. Other granites around the world are too porous or too weak, but Elsa Craig granite can survive years of impact and stress. That's why it's considered the gold standard. Harvesting this rock is no easy task. Everything needed, machines, fuel, food, even drinking water, has to be brought over by boat. Once the granite is cut from the island, it has to be ferried back to the mainland. Because it's so difficult, harvesting happens only once every 10 years, and each trip must collect enough raw stone to last an entire decade of production. Back at the workshop, huge boulders are sliced into slabs and carefully inspected. Any piece with the slightest crack or flaw is thrown out because Olympic stones must be flawless. The good pieces are shaped into rough cylinders known as cheeses. From there, skilled masons slowly grind and polish them into the familiar curling stones we see on the ice. Olympic rules demand exact standards. Each stone must weigh about 40 pounds, with precise dimensions for height and diameter. Finally, the rare blue hone granite is fitted into the base, polished and textured. But here's the trick: it can't be perfectly smooth. The bottom surface is left with faint scratches that give just enough friction for the stone to curl as it glides. Too smooth, and the stone would slide straight; too rough, and it wouldn't move properly. Finding this balance is something only a human hand can achieve, a craft passed down through generations. Curling itself began in Scotland centuries ago. Scottish immigrants carried it to Canada in the 1800s, where it quickly became popular. By the 1950s, hundreds of curling rinks existed across the country. For a while, demand slowed and Kays of Scotland nearly shut down. But everything changed in 1998 when curling returned to the Winter Olympics. Suddenly, millions of new fans were watching, and the sport gained international recognition. Today, more than 60 countries play curling. But every official stone still comes from Elsa Craig. You might wonder if the island could run out of granite. The answer is no, not anytime soon. The last harvest removed less than 1/100% of the island's supply. That means Elsa Craig will be able to supply curling stones for generations to come. So the next time you watch curling at the Olympics, remember the incredible journey behind each stone. It began as volcanic rock formed over 60 million years ago. It was harvested from a remote island, ferried across the sea, and shaped by the hands of master masons. Every curl, every clash, and every Olympic victory begins with a piece of granite from Elsa Craig. That's why curling stones are so rare, so expensive, and unlike any other sports equipment in the world.